Hello everyone, this is Maryann from Revealing Light Tarot, Astrology and Spirituality. Wherever you are in the world when you're watching, a huge shout out to you. Thank you for your support of my last reading. It wasn't an easy reading to do. We looked at the astrology of Gaza back in the days of former Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat proclaiming the need for a Palestinian state. And we looked at the transits and how that might be playing out now. One of my viewers interestingly pointed out that the Gaza chart that I showed, which was the idea of a Palestinian state, has the same 10th and 3rd house as Trump. Yes, I went back and checked that. I thought there were some similarities. The 10th house is, in Trump's natal astrology chart is Gemini, which is the midheaven. And the 3rd house is Scorpio, which is the same as the Gaza chart, Scorpio and Gemini. I just thought I'd point that out because that was fairly coincidental that you would get two very similar charts. In that reading, I talked about would the Gaza ceasefire hold, and I said I'm hopeful that it will. Why am I hopeful? It's because the Gulf countries have literally bought Gaza's freedom, to put it bluntly, and Israel doesn't wield that kind of influence. It's a country of 9 million people, which ranks 35th in the world for gross domestic product, which is a measure of a country's wealth, GDP, 35th. And Qatar, for example, I think is 3rd or 4th. Anyway, I posted a chart of each country's wealth on my Blue Sky account. Very interesting to go through it and see who the movers and shakers actually are. So it's all about money. The ceasefire, the purchasing of the freedom, if you like, for Gazans is all about the money. And you will see a lot of change over the next 5 years. Now, will Israel break the ceasefire? Yes, it already has. Will it continue to break the ceasefire and have the upper hand? No, it won't. It's, as I said, Trump is literally following the money. And I think in everything that I do now, I think if I've learnt nothing over the last 8-10 years, it's that you have to follow the money. Okay, so let's hope for everyone's sake that the ceasefire holds. I do believe in the long run it will, but that will be something. That's my prediction. Let's see if that's the truth in the next couple of years. Okay, so I do want to look at the oligarchy and is Trump doing their bidding? Now we seem to think that Trump is sort of acting in his own nasty, cruel, brutal, destructive way with Project 2025. But what if that is the oligarchy's blueprint? And is Trump doing their bidding? I asked that question to a geopolitical analyst earlier this week on Twitter, Evan, and he said he's perfectly doing their bidding. And I was a bit shocked by that. So the loss of civil rights, the crackdown on immigration, the destabilizing of the dollar, the tariffs, all of that. So yeah, there is a complex. I don't know. It's not as easy as just saying this is all Trump's doing. He's very much doing the bidding of the big oligarchy in America and perhaps the world. Who knows? So we'll look at the oligarchs. Is he doing their bidding? And is this what they want? All this crackdown, this destruction of democracy, to sort of Putinize America. Is that what they want? And will they be successful? Also want to look at Zoran Mamdani again and Graham Plattner in Maine. He's up against, or will be up against, in the primary, Democratic primary, the Maine governor, Mills. That's a very interesting battle there in that primary, or will be, because what we're seeing is the old guard of the Democratic Party, the Chuck Schumers, versus the progressive wing. So we'll see. Plattner does not take any APAC money nor big PAC money at all. He's a Maine oyster farmer. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in that race. Voting Rights Act to remove the discrimination against minority voters. That's up before the Supreme Court? Will we see that being removed from the Voting Rights Act? And the government shutdown, are they going to evoke the nuclear option? I said that it's going to be a long shutdown, not a short one, and that they propose something to the Democrats. The Democrats reject that, and that they do something that the Democrats don't like to open things up. Are they going to evoke the nuclear option? So maybe that's where we'll start. The government can't stay shut forever, no matter what Trump is saying. So let's have a look. It's already, according to the Reserve Board governor, starting to impact the economy. Okay. All right. So, the government shutdown. All right. Will the Republicans evoke the nuclear option, which means that they would put the legislation through a simple majority rather than needing the 60 votes, including from the Democrats? Well, if they do this is the way things will continue in the future. All right, will the Republicans evoke the nuclear option? Will they put through their budget with a simple majority? Will the Republicans put through their budget with a simple majority? Of course, the other reason that the shutdown plays into Trump's hands is because while the government is shut, they're not swearing in their new Arizona rep. So we get the Ace of Pentacles, and I'm using the Barbara Walker Pocket Tarot because I'm putting everything through a card shuffler to do the main bulk of the shuffling, and then I shuffle them with my hands. So we get the Ace of Pentacles. She's got a keyword above everything, and her interpretation is reward. The Ace of Pentacles, of course, is money, security, resources. And then it's crossed by Eight of Swords, which is interesting because the Eight of Swords is worry. So it's in her vocabulary, it's disillusion. So very much the way that I would interpret these cards is that the shutdown is really starting. If you can hear the lawnmower in the background, I'm sorry, it will soon go away. The shutdown is really impacting on the economy. And there's all sorts of, it's hurting or will hurt or has hurt all sorts of people who are becoming increasingly disillusioned with the American government, with their own government. And then we have the death card at the foundation of the reading. No need for a keyword, death, the end of something. So what is going to end this, of course, is can't stay shut forever. But that's not the question I asked. I asked about the nuclear option. The Two of Pentacles, change, is in the past card. That's also manipulation in order to get change. We've seen all sorts of threats. I think a court this morning said the government can't fire the employees. We've heard lots about cutting democratic programs. That's in the past. It seems that didn't work. Now we have the Princess of Cups here. Now that can be something that takes us by surprise. In the immediate future, we have the Queen of Wands. I don't think the Democrats are motivated. The Republicans are going to own this, and they are motivated to hold the line. We have here the Queen of Swords in the here and now, the Queen of Swords, and the Queen of Swords is objectivity and planning for the future. And then we have the Nine of Swords, which in this deck is cruelty. So we see here a lot of cruelty, a lot of anxiety, and why would we be surprised? These people are being put off. There are soldiers lining up at soup kitchens. The tower, the house of God, the tower is in the hopes and fears. This is getting to a point now. What is it, 2 weeks? Getting to a point where it's becoming quite serious. And will they evoke the nuclear option? I get a King of Wands here. a King of Wands, which is my card for the congressmen and women, the representatives, and we get the Ace of Cups. These are also yes cards, and then the World, an ending. It's a possibility they will. If I was looking at just straight yes or no. Sorry, let me just remove this. I've got a new mic, and I just have to remove this scarf and reposition the mic. Thank you also to the viewer who sent through this most beautiful scarf. Okay, let's get this back on somewhere. Okay, all right. Okay. Oh, well, that's not very well positioned. Hold on. All right, we'll do that. Okay, so according to this reading, it's a yes that they could very well do that. It will end, and it has to end because things are getting quite serious. We have the Princess of Wands and the Prince of Wands, so there will be movement after it becomes unsustainable. So I think that you're going to see within it's hard to put a time frame on it, but this is weeks, not months. The government is going to have to reopen because it's going to become quite dire, quite serious the longer it goes on. Of course, I don't have to say that. So how are they going to do that? They're either going to have to deal with the Democrats, or they're going to have to use the filibuster. My inclination is that they most likely will use the filibuster, but it will open within the next few weeks. Okay, so I think it is the filibuster. They will use the nuclear option. They'll put the budget through with a simple majority. Okay, which of course will allow Democrats to use that in the future. Okay, so let's go to the oligarchy. The oligarchy, this transnational private sector. Now, everything that Trump's doing, the gutting of the civil rights, the brutality, it's hard to think that oligarchs would be would want that. But what if we live in a world that's exactly what they do want? And that very much future elections will be about the people versus the oligarchy. And that is where I see a spiritual layer to all this, that perhaps we had to witness the evilness of this oligarchy, that we had to witness the way that leaders are manipulated, the lobby groups, perhaps we had to see all that for reform to take place and to create a better system for the future. All right, this oligarchy, this transnational private sector made up of all these key players, the technos, the tech billionaires, the financial hedge funds, the big consumer companies, the military industrial complex, this transnational private sector, these oligarchical companies and individuals. Is Trump doing their bidding? What can you show me about that? Is Trump doing their bidding? Is Trump picking up their sword? Are we now seeing the truth of how the world works? How this world of ours works? Is Trump doing the oligarchs' bidding? What can you show me about that? Okay, so we're looking at the Six of Swords here. I very much saw swords in the clairvoyance here. He's moving them. Now you can read a lot of good articles on how he's remade the government. He's moving in a certain direction. And the Queen of Cups. And what's Trump's reward? Well, of course, great riches. Crossing that of the people, caring for ourselves, caring for others, crossing that. So these are good cards. This is showing that he may move the goalposts, but he won't completely destroy them. And I spoke in my last reading about the ideologue that they all follow, Curtis Yarvin, who wants to turn the government into a private company, basically running a country, is leaving because he says Trump hasn't gone far enough or couldn't go far enough, and he's worried about the payback. So I'm seeing the Queen of Pentacles at the foundation of the reading, and this is people's security, the voters' security. And of course, no amount of rhetoric, no amount of gaslighting, no amount of J.D. Vance lying his damned ass off is going to take away from the reality of consumers really hurting at the till, at the in the supermarkets, in paying for insurance, houses, everything. No amount can hide that. Doesn't matter what power the oligarchy holds, the people still have the power of the vote. So we have here the King of Pentacles. I guess he's in the past. Trump's in the past. So he will do their bidding. But he's in the past, which is interesting. In the sky, we have the Page of Swords, young people coming through. That's why there's so much, it saddens me that there is so much gaslighting and manipulation of the American people, and has been, whether that's their own government doing it through psyops, if you want to use that word, the so-called deep state that they refer to. It's not even a deep state. It's out in the open, and various foreign interests, coming in and trying to meld and manipulate public opinion. It saddens me. It saddens me that Americans have literally been brutalized in that regard. The Page of Swords points to younger people, and we have the Nine of Wands, boundaries. Okay, that's really good. What the oligarchy wants may not be what they will get. As I said, the goalposts have been moved, but it looks like that the boundaries are going to hold. And maybe that's all Trump had to do, was move them a little way. And the Supreme Court is also captured, of course, by the big monetary interests. The Page of Rods, again, I'm just getting young people coming through here. It's why the battle, and I'll get into it in a minute, it's why the Platinum versus Mills, the new versus the old. It's why Zoran Mamdani versus Cuomo, an ex-Democratic governor. These battles are extremely important. And we get the Ace of Rods. Wow, 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 wow. What's going to save everything? When I say save everything, what's going to be the future? The future's not black. It's not negative. It's the young people and their motivation. The Democratic Party has to listen to their young people. Look at the contrast between the young Republicans and their texts and of course, Democratic youth, people like David Hogg, that gets a bad name. Look at the contrast between the two. Okay, young people. The Magician, of course, is the hopes and fears. That's manifestation, can be manipulation. And then we get the Five of Wands. Okay, division, trying to divide people. Of course, overturning, getting people on the same page, unifying when they're so gaslighted. Division is the aim. That's going to be there for a little while longer, but underneath all of that, you get the youth coming through and wanting good change. And we get the Three of Swords. So most Americans and any other Western society where this is playing out, they are aware. They're aware of the divisions. They're aware of the destruction those divisions have caused. They're aware of the oligarchy creating the divisions, and they're brokenhearted about it. But are they going to do something? I see a deal coming through here. So again, having faith that in so much sadness and darkness and manipulation and greed, and the devil card keeps coming up for a reason. It's having that faith that young people coming through. young people coming through are potentially going to hold the key to making things, to improving things, to moving away from this oligarchical rise. Absolutely, there's going to be new starts. So after much sadness and again destruction, you're getting new deals being formed. And again, a more positive orientation in the future. We have the past. The past, what are we dealing with now? We're dealing with the past. And we get wounded, retreat, wounded in battle, the Four of Swords. It's like a death of some sort. And then we get the Three of Wands, waiting for one ship to come in, having that hope. And then we get the Death card, the end of something. So I have done these readings before, pretty much straight after the election in November 2024. And it's still the same energy playing out. And it's still the same need to have faith and in the future. The future is what we make it, not what the oligarchs will determine. But first we need to know the truth. So in a way, the oligarchs have made us face the truth. What we do with it now is the question. All right, so let's have a look at Mamdani again. He's went on to Fox the other night and performed extremely well. All right, Mamdani. I didn't get clear cards, I think, the last time I read. Okay, a lot of money. Trump is backing Cuomo. Of course, the oligarchs are backing Cuomo. All right, Mamdani, Zoran Mamdani, are you going to win the mayoral race in New York? Zoran Mamdani, are you going to win the mayoral race in New York? So we get here the Wheel of Fortune, change. Nice, good change and support. He's got really good energy straight out the bat. This is good. Now, it's a hard slog, the 10 of rods here. This is also the ending of a very hard cycle as well. In the past, we get the 7 of rods. He's had to defend himself against all sorts of attacks. And then we get abuse of power and sabotage in the sky. This is what I remember from the last reading. There's potential for huge sabotage of his campaign. They do not want him to win. Okay, so we have the King of Rods stepping forward bravely in the immediate future. I think that's him. I don't know what his sign is. We get the past playing out in the here and now. And then we get the young people. He has an incredible following with young people. Hopes and fears, the end of something, either his end or the end of a cycle. And then we get the Tower. Okay, things are not going to go as we see, and brokenheartedness. Okay, what's going on? But we also see the sword, the Ace of Swords being picked up again. And then the Knight of Rods. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is people want change. People feel betrayed by the system. And that Ace of Swords picking that up. The oligarchs versus the people. Then we get moving out of troubled waters. Three of rods. Is there going to be, oh my God, is there going to be some kind of attack or false flag thing going on in New York to try and, that's what I feel. I feel there's going to be something major go on, which is sort of like a false flag attack to influence this election. I'm going to draw some clarifiers here, because this is a fairly complicated end game here. Can you shed some light on the Tower card? So it looks like there's going to be a sabotage event for Mamdani. It's not a strict path toward victory here. Is there going to be? Explain this Tower, please. Can you show me what is this Tower? And we get the something coming to fruition in time, and then we get the King of Cups, wisdom, and then death and despair. These are really terrible cards. What I'm going to say is I think ultimately he will triumph, but there could be a false flag type of event or attack here. There's sabotage looming, possibly looming, to impact his campaign in the negative. I feel that he is triumphant at the end of the day, but they are really throwing a lot at this. Wow. Is he safe? Like, is Mamdani safe? I hope he's got good security. It's like there's an attempt to sabotage through violence. Can you show me what's going on here? Okay, so it's just so hard for him. It's been made so hard. Will there be some kind of false flag event or attack to influence the Mamdani campaign? Yeah, worry, restriction, and then the hangman. Yeah, definitely. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on here, but these are really illusion and delusion. Four of Swords, like the Knight of Pentacles, potentially stability, whether this will work or not, and then we get the Lovers card in the near future, Trump. Oh, it's like the Charlie Kirk assassination energy. All is not what it seems. The Fool card, new starts and secrets, something being hidden in the environment around. There's the Ace of Swords. I think the truth will come out in the hopes and fears, and then successfully defending oneself. The past here again, and then the Knight of Rods, movement and momentum forward, and there is the heartbreak again. So what I'm going to say is, I don't know, this could actually be further attacks upon him, although I don't know what else he has to weather. He's weathered enough. But there's something else here before he gets to victory, and these are, I'm just going to say, worrying cards. All right, yeah, the energy hasn't changed there. All right, let's look at Platinum versus Meals in Maine. All right, Platinum versus Mills. Graham Platinum, are you going to get the Democratic nomination? It's an oyster farmer versus the governor. She would be ex-governor by then. It's a tough one for Platinum to win. But again, it's this people. I've nothing against Mills. I think she would be a good candidate, but Democrats have been losing elections, and they've got to find out the reason why. Okay, Graham Platinum, the oyster farmer. Are you going to be pre-selected? Are you going to be the Democratic pre-selected candidate for the Senate in Maine? Graham Platinum, will you be the candidate? He's up against it with money. Okay, so Chuck Schumer has asked that people donate to Mills. He goes on that she's on his list. So it's money that's the problem for him. He's locked out of that monetary kind of campaign system. Graham Platinum, are you going to be the Democratic candidate? Are you going to be pre-selected in Maine for the Senate seat? The past, trying again, breaking with the past, and it's not done easily. The Five of Pentacles, locked out in the victim kind of status. He's up against it. Nine of Swords, worry, strife, cruelty. King of Swords, he's strong. Is he an air sign? He's very strong. Manipulation, it's around the money. It's around the money here, and whether or not he can get enough of it. The Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Cups, emotions, and the Chariot. He's going to go like that. It's like an upswing in his support. But again, can he outfund? Can people's donations get him over the line? And then we get the King of Rods. Yeah, he's going to do quite well. There's the Tower again coming through. Huge restructuring going on in the US at the moment. What is the way to take back power and move forward? It's with change. Wow. And then we get the brokenheartedness coming through here again, and then the boundaries remaining. Okay, so I'm just going to go with my first card. I'm going to say again, he too will get a lot thrown at him. But we have here the King of Wands. He's going to step up. He's got the union endorsements. We get the Ten of Pentacles, money. Again, he's going to the Seven of Pentacles. It's all about the money here. And then young people getting, he's one to watch. He's actually going to attract some kind of fairly solid support here, and the vote of the young people. I like the energy here, but it's going to be hard. It's a big thing. It's a big thing to go up against the governor. But he's going to, a bit like Mamdani, he's going to surge ahead in the near future. Will he be the candidate? Yeah, if he is, it's going to be not without blood in the water, so to speak. Anyway, let's look at I was quite interested in those two candidates. Let's look at the Voting Rights Act, which the Supreme Court is thinking about gutting, or not thinking about it. Looks like that's what they're going to do. All right. Will the Supreme Court remove the minority voter discrimination clauses from the Voting Rights Act? Will the Supreme Court remove the voting rights, the minority discrimination against minority voters? Will the Supreme Court? Yeah, question of time. Yeah, again, this old cycle. The Ten of Rods in the past, breaking with the past. Wow. And then we get the King of Swords, objectivity, the law. We get the Nine of Swords. There's a great deal of anxiety here. If you remove the discrimination clauses, then how are minorities going to ever get their vote recorded? The Knight of Cups, an offer here. They may not go all the way. Again, there's a great deal of worry about this. The Fool card, new starts in the here and now. And then we get the Knight of Swords, the truth about, I mean, they probably will say, well, everybody's got to compete for the vote. Why should minorities be protected? They will have some argument that, yeah, but we can see the truth here. We can see the truth. Now, this is a crossroads time for America. And then we get the Chariot. I feel they are going to remove that. Defending oneself. Again, this is going to be a bit like Roe v. Wade. Oh, God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think they're going to remove it. Page of Pentacles. That's what I think. Okay, I think Barrett will dissent along, of course, with the Democrats, but I think that there'll be a majority to remove it. I hope I'm wrong on that. Will that impact on the midterms? Of course it will. See, Republicans don't need to somehow miraculously change voting machine tabulations. They do it in all these ways, through gerrymandering, suppression. They do it out in the open, throwing out ballots. That's the real, I guess, threat, is what they do legally, or supposedly legally. All right, will the Democrats win the House? Because this will impact on the House. I've always said Democrats will retake the House with a smaller majority, with a very small majority. And maybe this is why. All right, will the Democrats still take the House after all this redistricting, gerrymandering? Will the Democrats still take the House? Will the Democrats still take the House? They want to check on power. People want to check on power. And for that reason, we get the past. The past and lies and deceit in the past. We get the Wheel of Fortune change. They want to check on power. King of Rods in the past. And then the High Priestess here in the sky crowning this reading. Again, I talked about what they do supposedly legally. This is all part of a change in breaking with the past. A lot of anxiety around who wins the midterms. It's a crossroads again. That's in the present. Get the Knight of Rods in the hopes and fears that the movement is strong to retake the house. And then we get working on it, the Eight of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups. I think they will. They need to work hard because here we've got the Devil card here and then the Tower. Okay, so the absolute outcome cards are... Okay, so we know this is the situation, but here we have the Eight of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups. Younger people need to come in. The Democratic Party the old guard need to move aside and let the younger people come in. That's really it. If they can do that, they will retake the house. And financial stability, yeah. So there's good arguments here to be made about the cost of living, the oligarchy. Take Bernie Sanders and and Mamdani and you'll cut through. The Dems will cut through. There definitely needs to be a change. Okay, that's the reading for today. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Bye for now.